Transport Fever 2 is an amazing resource management simulation game. You can transport resources like here bread, also passengers. So with your trains, you see some grain coming into the station. The grain is being unloaded into my processing plant, but also you can use plane like in this busy airport where some stone is going to be delivered. Now one of the trucks is going to take that steel that just got delivered at the airport and bring it into one of the other industries. All of the people on the map are completely simulated. You know, they live somewhere, they work somewhere, they shop somewhere. And so you have public and private transport. Here you can see a bus stop where two people are waiting for the next bus to come. You build everything from the different type of roads, intersections, and of course tracks, cargo stations, even harbors, and as we said, airports. You create lines to transport all of these resources and passengers, choose which vehicle to use in each of their different routes. All of this going from the 19th centuries to the 21st centuries with vehicles that evolved over time. If that sounds interesting, don't hesitate to check my game review that will appear now at the top, but also to follow this new Transport Fever 2 Let's Play that we're gonna start completely from scratch. This series is for everyone. I will teach all of the basics, but I will also go into very advanced tips, tricks, and economics. And of course, I hope we'll all have a lot of fun. So let's dive in creating a free game. You can even follow along by using the exact same feed, PR2TPY, and selections. You can see the illness bar, the water, the forest, so quite a lot of forest. It's a large map, 1-to-1. High number of town, medium number of industries. We won't use any mods, so it's really vanilla. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you're excited by it. I'm going to take USA trains starting in 1850 in the hardest difficulty, and we'll have a couple of goals. The first goal is for sure to deliver all of the resources to all of the cities. Then the second goal is to connect all of the cities with a high-speed train to transport passengers from one to the other. Third goal is we definitely want to have planes all over the sky, and of course we want to make as much money as possible while doing that. If you have ideas for other goals that we need to make sure to do, don't hesitate to post it in the comment below. When you start, make sure that you pause right away so that you don't start losing money. Why? Because while you may have 5 million in the bank, this is actually a loan that will cost you some interest. So you want to pause while you take a look at the map and understand what you want to do. The other thing you may want to look at is clicking here on the date, because there is two timers. There is the timer of the game speed and there's a timer of the date speed, which are decoupled. You can change one and doesn't impact the other. What that means here is how quickly you will get to the year 2000. We're going to make it half speed so that we have time to enjoy each of the era, let's say, of transport and evolution and not get to the year 2000 too quickly. In this episode, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to make sure that you make money in the 1850s. Number one is to start with cargo. Cargo is a lot more reliable and easy to do at the beginning of the game. The second tip is to focus on road before rail for two reasons. One is that rail has a maintenance cost. All of the tracks and things like this have a high maintenance versus the roads are already there and they don't have a high maintenance. And the second is that to buy trains actually cost a lot more than the first few horse-drawn carriages that you have. Now, tip number three is you definitely make more money the further something is traveled. You know, you may be thinking then, okay, I'll take something like grain from one corner of the map and just send it to the food processing plant at the other side of the map. And that's gonna make you a ton of money. That is true, but one is gonna cost you a lot to probably change the roads that are needed to go there, maybe create some bridges and things like this. And two, it's gonna take forever for this to be delivered. So for you to actually make some money, and at the beginning, given that we don't have a lot of money, we can't wait that long to make new money. So we're not gonna go that far for now. But later on, when you have planes, for example, that's definitely a good idea. Take, for example, this stone here in one corner of the map. and we're gonna send it via plane to here, completely the other side of the map, and probably take the construction material and send them again completely to the other side of the map is possible, like here. For now, let's find something easy, not too far away. And you also want to start with an easy industry. For example, these good factories requires two goods, plastic and steel, and plastic requires 3 different industries before to make it, and steel requires 2 input to make steel. So, this is not the one you start with. I usually like to start with grain because I feel like this is normal to start giving food to your people. And here you have a perfect opportunity to make a lot of money because the grain will come from here, be transported over there to the food processing plant making bread, and then on the way back the trucks will be able to take the bread and deliver it to the city. So they will be only empty for this small piece here. They will be full all the way here, probably sort of full or half full actually over here, and then empty over here. The only problem with this is that to make bread you need 2 grain. So that's why I said it's going to be half empty here. Okay, let me now create this first industry and explain to you after what I've done. Okay, so let me quickly explain. First of all, the roads. You have 2 types of roads. These ones are streets for your city. People can walk on the side, and these ones are country roads. So it's for outside of the cities. And you see different ones from small to large. This one has only 2 lanes, this one has 4 lanes, and also the speed limit of this one is 40 kilometers, this one 80. So why, you wonder, I use the small one? At the beginning, this is definitely an overkill. You won't have traffic jam with just 2 lanes. Higher speed for the first few vehicles is like 14, 18, 20 kilometers per hour. So even this one is an overkill, but this is the cheapest one we can buy. So for now, let's buy this one. I extended the road a bit this way. I'll explain later why. Then I placed the truck station. By default, you'll have 2 platforms, one on the left, one on the right. You don't need 2 platforms. We're just transporting 1 element here, so 1 is totally enough. I also placed a road depot next to it. This is where the new vehicles we buy will come from. Then I placed a fairly sort of straight road. Why? Because the money that you make is based on the straight distance between the pickup station and the delivery station, right? So basically between this and that. Now the straightest line would be somewhere over here. Why didn't I go over there? Well, because if you go through town, you're going to create traffic through town. People are going to be unhappy. So I just made a road that's a bit just out of town, but as straight as possible. If you are paying attention, I said it's from the pickup station to the delivery station. So it's actually not from the farm here, it's actually from this one. Therefore, that is why I extended the road just a bit, so that I basically make this much more money than if I were to put the station over here. The limit to this tip is when you click on the station, this must still flash white. See, this is, for example, still white, but if I'm here, I'm too far. This doesn't flash white anymore. Now, for the delivery, you have you in general have 2 options. You can have another truck station, or you can have a truck unload stop. So this will only allow you to unload. The problem is that here we need to unload grain, but we also need to pick up the bread. So that's why you have to use a station, which I put here. On the other hand, in the city, we only need to deliver. So that's why I put just a small truck unload station, as you can see here. Now you may be wondering where you should put it. Well, you want to deliver bread, all right? So you need to put it in the part of the town where there is bread, the bread icon. And you want, all of the buildings with the bread icon to flash white once again. Right? If I put it there, you see some of them are white, but others weren't. So here it was pretty good. Also because, as I said before, I want to avoid traffic through town. So that's why I put this road to go through this, but then I'm exiting as quickly as possible through town and going back to this road here. Next step is to buy the vehicles in the road depot. You don't have to create the line, you can just buy them. To buy them, you click on buy vehicle. You need to choose something relevant for what you want to transport. For example, right now we only have 2 vehicles, but if you filter here, you'll see we only have 1 for cargo. And it's good, you can transport all cargo, so you'll be able to transport a grain and bread. Some of your vehicles later on may only be able to transport bread and not grain, so you won't be able to do exactly what we're doing here. I've bought 30 for now. You can see it here, 30. If you click here, you select all of them, and then you can click here on new line. And that's why I said you didn't need to create a line before. We can create it now, starting on the first, then it will deliver here and pick up the bread and then deliver here. A small potential issue here is that if there's too much traffic on this road, then trucks here could be waiting. But at this stage of the game, that won't be a problem. One great thing in this game is we can change the name of pretty much everything. From towns, let's call this one Strat City, and tell me in the comments below if you want me to name one of those towns or other things after you. So that's Strat City. Now we're going to also rename this as Grain 1 Strat City versus this one here will be Bread 1 Strat City. And lastly, the lane or line, we can change it to so I like to start by cargo, then say what is it, grain to bread Strat City. And then lastly, we're also going to play a bit here, is we're going to make sure that at the beginning they need to wait to have grain, to be full of grain. So we're gonna put full load and max time infinite. So they're going to wait as long as they have to before leaving the station here, being full of bread. Then they're going to transport here, and here I'm not gonna put anything because, as we said before, we need to deliver 2 to make 1 bread. So it's a bit dangerous to put things here. And that is it. Now we are ready to unpause and check that they start leaving. That is very annoying when that happens. You know, they should just go next door and they go all the way over here. If someone knows how to avoid that, don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below. Basically, this one at least is full of bread. Only 4 breads, you know, it's not a lot. Here you can see how much bread is in stock. It's increasing, and there's this exclamation point because basically there's not a lot of space. So right now we're losing grain. You know, there's no space for the grain to be stored. That is fine. Later on the game will fix that. You don't want to increase the size of it because that will cost you more money for nothing. But better to have more trucks on the road to make it happen. So we have created our first line. Right now it's not making any money because all of these guys went empty. That was terrible. But I know it will make us some money now. So we have 2 choices. One is we can just repay the loan with all of the money that we have left so that we pay less loan interest, or we can continue to develop. It could be to buy even more trucks for that route, or it could be to create another one. We're going to actually start by putting even more trucks on this line. Now you may be wondering how many trucks do we need if we're going to put more on this line, which already has 30 vehicles. Well, that's why I said that cargo is a lot easier to do at the beginning, a lot more predictable. Because look, if you click on the farm, you know that the farm is producing 200. We can see that for now our rate is around 56, which means approximately every year we're going to be able to transport 56. And every year we're producing 200. So make simple math, we can basically have 4 times those vehicles and will be around 200. This is an approximate, but that is fine. You know, we can buy a few more vehicles and then sell them if needed. So let's do exactly that. One easy way when you want to increase the number of vehicles on the line is just to click on any of those vehicles, select manage vehicle, select all, for example, and here we said we wanted 4 times that. So we're gonna click 4 times on clone selected vehicles. We now have 60, 90, 120. You can click here to enter the cockpit and just follow it. But one element to know is you don't have to stay in this view here. If you press AWSD, you'll start to move around, the vehicles that you were following. It's also very cool when you get into trains, planes, and things like this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a few minutes have passed and we can see that now we are definitely making money, but not as much money as we can make. There is a few problems. Let's look into that. We can see that by now all of the vehicles are pretty spread out, so that's good, but we see two problems. One is over here and one is over there. We can see quite a few vehicles waiting here for some resources. And if we look here in our rate, we see 222. And if you remember, we are only producing 200. And that's why there's people waiting here. It's basically where we have too many vehicles for what we want to produce. So that means we can sell a few. You can sell them one by one by clicking on it and clicking here on sell, or we can go into manage vehicle and just select a few random ones, let's say, right? We can select maybe 10 to start with. Okay, so we've sold a few, so that will help, hopefully not having too many to wait here. But if we look over here, we can see also a small problem here. I mean, it's not a huge problem, it's not like they're waiting a long time, but just waiting a bit, which is money, right? It's lost money. There is a way to fix that. Let me show you. Okay, so here it is. We replace the typical truck station that looks like this by one that has a one-way entrance and a one-way exit to make sure that they go exactly how we want them to go. I added here a waypoint. City here just grows organically, and for example, a new road was created here, which made that some of the trucks started going this way. With the waypoint, I forced them to go that way to make sure they don't create too much traffic over here. It is, to be honest, actually not that important because this is industrial building. They don't care that much about traffic, but still I think it's a good practice to make sure you push your vehicles where you want them to be pushed. We are now delivering quite a bit of food, and delivering food to the city is not just giving us money, it's also growing the city. Okay, I've let the game run a bit more longer, and now you can see that the line is pretty much working very smoothly. We are transporting 100% of what we're producing. Basically no wait at all here, but at the same time we're never losing resources, and that's why we see a rate of basically 200. We're also making more money than before because we have less maintenance. Transporting all of the bread that we're producing to the city, helping the city grow. You can see almost 400 residents now. And because we're transporting all of this grain and this bread out of the factory, our processing plant has moved from level 1 to level 2, which means we can now produce 200 per year. But remember, you need 2 grain to make 1 bread. It means we need 400 grains to make this 200 bread. And that's why I've started to use all of my money that I'm making to connect this new farm from over here to the processing plant too, and then we will deliver this new bread to Columbus over here. So I hope that you see it is possible to make some money right from the start in 1850, even in the hardest difficulty. Remember, we are in the hardest difficulty. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below, and I hope to see you next time to continue expanding this great empire.